What is up, guys? We are back with another episode, kind of a new idea episode of what we're doing of You Haven't Seen What. Today we're actually going to be reviewing a new movie for the first time. Both of us went and just saw Gladiator 2 in theaters. Actually, I believe, at least for me, it was the first showing that they had in Washington, D.C. I don't know about you. This is our non-spoiler review, guys. We're going to be releasing a more in-depth review later on. This should be coming out Friday. The more spoiler one will come out early next week. We also, if you haven't gotten a chance, we did a review recently of Gladiator 1 because I had never seen it and I watched it in preparation for doing this video. We're just going to hop right into it. Adam, I have to say, and I know you kind of did it in the other one too, I was highly entertained. I enjoyed it, especially since I just watched Gladiator 1. It fit so well with Gladiator 1. I was very surprised how well it fit in, where especially with the movie coming out 24 to 25, almost 25 years after the original, to fit that well in with the original one, I thought was a masterful job done by Ridley Scott. Adam, how do you feel so far about the movie from what you saw? What did you think?
Yeah, and one thing too, before I even give my opinion, I think this is interesting because we're coming from different places, right? Where I have much more of the nostalgia baked in, obviously, because I saw that movie in 2000. You saw that movie yesterday, so it's just a much more fresh start for you, where you're just comparing one movie to the other. However, having said that, I may have a little bit more nostalgia bias, right? Where it wasn't in my mind as great maybe as the original. However, I do think it was a good movie. I think that the story was good. I think it held up overall. I think my biggest criticism was the Gladiator himself. Nothing against the actor. I thought the actor did a fine job. You know, he seems like a good actor. It just the character itself, and I don't know, again, maybe this is my nostalgia bias. I felt that Russell Crowe's character was just more captivating, or what, I don't know what the words, I mean, it's not like he had a lot of development, right? It's like he comes in, his family's murdered, and then he goes on a revenge spree. It's not like there's a lot to it, but it's just something about his presence. I felt like I cared more about Maximus than I did about this new Gladiator. I'm just saying the weakest part for me. But otherwise, everything else I enjoyed. I thought, you know, the story, overall the story I felt was good. It was entertaining, a good action popcorn flick. I liked the dynamic of the twin emperors, and I thought that the makeup was really interesting. They almost looked zombie-ish, really eerie. I don't know why they chose that for thinking in the character's head, they thought that would look good. I think from the filmmaker's side of things, it makes them look evil and whatnot, which worked. But yeah, those are my first impressions. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, off of what you're saying right there, first of all, the guy they had playing the main Gladiator, obviously, he's, what Adam's basically saying is he ain't Russell Crowe, guys. He did a great job, but he's not freaking Russell Crowe, an Academy Award winner, one of the greatest to ever do it. It's hard to live up to that. I thought he did a great job. It's funny to me, my preconceptions of Gladiator 1 was that it was going to be the story that they told in Gladiator 2. Before I saw Gladiator, I didn't realize that Russell Crowe was a Roman general. I didn't realize a lot of those types of things. I thought he was taken over and had been sold into slavery. And that's kind of more of the story you're getting told of the main gladiator in this one was an enemy of Rome versus being part of Rome. So that's kind of was my preconceived notion of number one versus number two. So it's interesting, a lot of stuff. And we'll go more in depth about that when we do the more long form review of this, guys, because I don't want to give away too much. But a lot of the stuff that I thought was going to be in Gladiator 1 was actually the story for Gladiator 2, which I found fascinating. Also touching on the fact they had the two emperors, them wearing the white face paint or dusting their face kind of just added an extra these two guys are ridiculous vibe, and people taking them less serious. I feel like that was kind of one of the reasons they were doing that. I wish they had talked a little bit more about why there was two emperors. They didn't really go into that as much. But I don't know the actor's name. The guy who played the Gladiator, I thought did a great job. Denzel killed it. Denzel's just in I can't think of a bad Denzel movie, honestly. Denzel was great in that movie. did an amazing job. I was a little bit worried when I saw the trailer and I saw him in it, and I was, you see these movies that are sequels for movies that came out, decades ago, and you're just like, oh man, they're just shoving someone famous in there to make it relevant and blah, blah, blah. Denzel killed it. Denzel absolutely killed it. I thought the cast was amazing. The woman they had who was in the original one, I forget her character name, Joaquin Phoenix's sister.
Lucilla, something
Yeah,
like
Lucilla, something along those lines. She was great too. I liked how they were able to incorporate her in the story as well, where it didn't feel necessarily forced. Pedro Pascal did an amazing job too. I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but I kind of felt like Pedro Pascal was almost more Maximus than the new Gladiator. A lot of stuff, like he's a general in this movie for the Romans as well. And he doesn't really care about a lot of the other stuff that the emperors care about. He's like, I did my job. I protected my men. I fought when I had to. But you can tell he doesn't get off on bloodlust. That's not his thing. He fights because he has to. He fights because he protects Rome. And he believes, like Maximus did and Marcus Aurelius, that you put Rome first over everything. And he was just a man of valor, honor. So you kind of see a mixture of Maximus in the new Gladiator, as well as Pedro Pascal's character, who's also a general in this film, which I thought, again, the cast was amazing. Pedro did a really good job. I'm already obviously a fan because of Mandalorian and a lot of the other stuff he's been doing. And again, I just thought they did a really good job tying in the original movie, and they even had flashbacks from the original movie in the film as a way to continue telling the story, where it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like, oh, okay, they're shoving stuff in this because of the fact that we're trying to get, a nice reaction because we're doing a callback. The callbacks actually added to the story, and it seemed to take the story somewhere else and added something to it that made the new movie better. They even go more in depth with the decadence in this movie compared to the first one, now that graphics and budget and all these things are a lot more advanced than they were 25 years ago. The amount of decadence they showed in this one compared to the first one is, very vast and interesting. Some of the stuff they do, for example, I'm not giving anything away, this is a trailer. In the Colosseum, there's a guy riding a freaking rhino. What what the heck is going on? There's other stuff along those lines that you see later on in the film where you're like, wow, this is crazy. I feel like I have to Google to see if they actually did it in real life or they're just making stuff up for the movie. I would happily rewatch it. I might actually go rewatch it. Who knows? I thought it was an amazing film. I'm surprised it's as good as it is, just because, again, I know I keep saying this, but it's very rare you see a movie that's a sequel this far away that actually works and actually adds to it, to the point where, I wouldn't be opposed if they ended up doing more stuff down the road, whether it's like mini series or any stuff like that within that universe. They easily could, given, because I never thought they'd do a sequel to this movie, and they somehow figured out a way to do it.
And again, I overall like the movie. I'm just playing more of the critical role, since you're doing more of the positive, just to bring the balance. The other thing that critical is, while I felt it was well written, I didn't feel like there were any real iconic lines. A lot of the best lines were lines that they quoted from the original. Or are you gonna?
There was actually one. Okay. There was actually one. Should I save that until we actually do the actual full out? Because I don't want to give away anything. Maybe we'll pull out. There was an iconic line that I saw, but I think we're gonna save that until the more in-depth interview, which should be dropping close to Monday, early next week, guys. So make sure to subscribe to keep up with that. But there was one iconic line that I really liked. The guy they had, again, like Maximus, a leader of men, so he had a couple lines where I was like, nice. There's something about that Gladiator 1 and Gladiator 2. There's certain parts of the movie where you're just like, I just want to run through a freaking wall, man. I don't even know why. I'm just so freaking pumped watching some of these lines he delivers. You're just like, oh yeah, let's do it. Then they're like, you want to go die in the pit? Let's do something else. But I'm pumped. I was getting hype in the crowd, being like, super in, especially some of those Colosseum scenes. The fighting they had in the Colosseum was as good, if not better, in this one. I don't know. It was really good. They could do more now with effects and all those other stuff, but I'm really struggling because I just don't want to give away too much for you guys. There's so much stuff I want to talk about, but I'm just like, I don't know if I'd be willing to say I like it more than the Russell Crowe one. It's really good, and it lives up to it, but it's not possible without the first one. So I always find it weird. It's very rare I find sequels better. The one instance I can think of where I significantly liked the sequel better was Empire Strikes Back. just because how good, I don't even have to go into how good Empire is, you know. You should already know by now. If you haven't seen it, go watch that movie right now. But there's not many movies that I've seen where the sequels are better. And this was a great movie, but I wouldn't be willing to stamp that. There's a lot of stuff I liked better in this movie than the other one, but a lot of that also has to do with the fact of, like, you know, there's 25 years in between, so technology and other stuff has gotten a lot better since then, you know.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. And I guess one thing that I'll add that for the maybe the better element is if you even though the original was so iconic and I loved protagonist and antagonist, it was a lot more black, like this is the bad guy, this is the good guy.
Right.
I felt this movie added a little bit more gray to it in the way that they kind of pinned some of the characters against each other. That was a little bit more interesting, I think, some of the character dynamics, how they opposed each other.
I feel like in the first one, you kind of knew immediately Joaquin Phoenix was a bad guy. In this one, like, a lot of characters and their true intentions start revealing themselves as the product keeps moving forward and new things keep happening. And you kind of, you know, even may underestimate some people because you just don't really know what their true motives are. And even certain stuff, when I was writing notes during the movie, I was like, all right, this guy wants this. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, he doesn't even want that at all. What the hell was I thinking 10 minutes ago? That wasn't even his goal at all. But you think at the time it might be, you know? Again, I'm really struggling here not to give you guys spoilers. This is my first non-spoiler review of a movie, guys, so bear with me. We're trying here. Overall, like I said, if we had to do it the Emperor way with two emperors, Adam, you know, or you can call them Siskel and Ebert, your boy would give it 2 thumbs up. We're giving them mercy.
Okay.
We're giving them mercy. We're giving them mercy. No one's getting beheaded today. Yeah. I would heavily suggest if you have any interest in watching this movie, I would go watch this. I hope that people do go watch it so they make more high-end Hollywood blockbuster type movies like this, because a lot of these big budget movies don't happen as much anymore just because there's so much stuff with streaming. So movies like this are so important to go actually support if you like this medium so that they keep making stuff like this. Not to say Hollywood doesn't have enough money as it is, but I'm just saying if you want to keep seeing cool stuff like this, go see it in theaters and let people know that you're actually interested in stuff like this.
And I think your final verdict on the original was you were like 8, 9, so maybe 8.5. So how would you give this
I'd give it an 8.
Or an 8?
I'd give it an 8. Give it an 8, 7.5,
okay.
8.
Wow.
I would say 8. I would say 8.
Very close to the original.
Very close. I would say Gladiator 1's definitely better in my eyes, but it's also just it's different, you know, and I also kind of, when it comes to sequels, again, unless it's so distinguishedly better to me, I kind of just assume that the first one's always going to be better, barring something crazy happening, because it's very rare you find a sequel that's better than the first one. You know, sometimes it happens where, you know, there's a low budget project that's the first one, and then the sequel is the first high budget version of that, so that might help. But I would definitely say I would give this movie a pretty solid 8. And maybe I bump up Gladiator 1 to a 9 just to be more distinguished and separated from them. You know, but I highly suggest if you have any interest in going to go see this, go do it. They did a great job. Denzel and Pedro steal the show. That new guy, again, I really got to look up that guy's name. The guy who played the Gladiator did an amazing job. The first battle scene kicks ass. I'm not giving anything away here, guys. In the first Gladiator, there was a war scene to enter. The second one, again, a lot of parallels between the first and the second movie. There's immediately just another war scene, and it's just as brutal, if not more so, than the first one. I don't know if it could be as brutal as that tribe that got destroyed in Germany. That they got destroyed, and they got destroyed in Gladiator 1, man. They got the work just demolished. Oh, man. Overall, amazing film. Yeah. Go watch it now. Adam, do you have any final thoughts on this film?
No, I think that covers it. Like I said, still love the original more, obviously, but
right.
It held up though. It impressed me compared to, I guess, what my expectations were. Yeah.
And I would definitely suggest go rewatching Gladiator 1, because I thought watching it when I did before going to watch the sequel, it just fit so perfectly as a sequel. It really fit very well. Having just literally rewatched the first one a day ago and going to watch the other one today, it just fits so well. And I think I appreciated it that much more because I noticed all the little tiny things from the first one that I may not have noticed if I hadn't watched it in a few years. So if you haven't, check it out. It's on Paramount Plus right now and Pluto TV. with ads. If you'd like to go watch Gladiator, go do that, and then go check out the movie theater. I'd suggest Black Friday's coming out. Maybe wait for that Regal Pass to go on sale. That's my little tip to get unlimited movies. I'm waiting. I'm about to buy that the second it gets to Black Friday. So, little tidbit. That's not a movie review. That's just me trying to save you money. So, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Adam, we want to thank you for checking out this short review. A little teaser review. We're going to do the full out review, record it right after this, and release it early next week. We didn't want to spoil anything for you. At least give you a little time to watch it before we spoil everything. If you can, like, share, subscribe to Schway Nostalgia on YouTube. Make sure to follow the podcast You Haven't Seen What, wherever podcasts are found. Feel free to post a like or comment, share with your friends. Any of that stuff helps. We appreciate everyone checking it out, and we hope you enjoy the film. Let us know if you like it, guys. Thanks again. See you soon.
See ya.